He called them suckers and losers. Who in the hell does he think he is? Who does he think he is?
Who does he think he is, Sean Gregorian? Who does that guy think he is?
Well,
who does Sean think he is?
make me look muted.
Oh, man. It's best to say he was muted. We have Lena Star Moon, who might know what the deal is. She said, that's a deep thought, Sean. It's so deep, we can't even measure it. That's how deep it is. Oh, Maddie Lynn, who says, baby Sean. Yes, Sean is a baby. He needs to be pampered. And how's that diaper rash? Tonight, on Late Night Update, trapped in Mexico. The greatest fear of all is when you're right in the middle of it, in the crossfire. Americans, Canadians, and all alike, tourist residents. In the new American-Mexican War, the future, the destiny of civilization. Brace yourself. Right. It is so destined to be here tonight. Good evening, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully you can see me. We have some technical snafus as I'm here in Studio B. Anyways, Dean Ryan here. Welcome to Late Night Update, Real Deal Media's oldest franchise and very fragile franchise here tonight is trapped in Mexico. We're going to do a major update as I have intel from the ground and things that you probably won't hear anywhere else that we're going to provide for you here tonight about some of our loved ones, your loved ones, friends, notables from around the world, personalities in the media, as Americans, Canadians, and the residents of Mexico, expats, are currently stuck in Puerto Vallarta, the Acapulco area, right now as we speak. We have some updates on that, how it all came about. And I'll tell you, just the thought of it is just, it gives me anxiety. It gives me anxiety. So my heart goes out to a lot of my friends and colleagues who are stuck over there in Mexico. So we'll be giving you the up-to-date news on that here tonight for Late Night Update. Also, as we're telling you this, I'm telling you this rather, we or me, there's now the calamity is beginning to ensue as the Trump speech tomorrow night is now planned. The big announcement for the big strike on Iran, I believe. Yeah, I mean, it's Iran tomorrow. Who's it going to be the next day? But yeah, we're going to be talking about that as spoiler alert, Iran is just 2 weeks away from getting the big nuke bomb that we heard about. Did you know this? Once again, they're always 2 weeks away. There's something about that 14-day grace period. I'm telling you. So we're going to have to shelter in place in our own right. That's going to be something to see here. So yeah, we're going to be talking about that as Iran is just not complying with the most unrealistic, standards that you have to meet over there for the Israeli just measurements of peace for the new Greater Israeli Project. That is, so that's interesting. Also, some other things, and the UFO files have been or about to be released. What should we prepare for? It's like meeting your new step siblings. I'm going to share with you of what to prepare for and how to greet our new cousins from outer space. What's the proper etiquette? What's the dress code? And just exactly what we're to expect. In some footage, it's amazing to see all the footage from old that is coming back now that the Epstein files have now been released. You see a lot of the old Pizzagate stuff. Well, the same applies to now the alien files. That those are going to release. A lot of this new unearthed footage from people connected to Neil Armstrong and the rest of them is now being unearthed again, and even some of the footage from the fringe of media. So that's going to be rather interesting to see here. Okay, so we are broadcasting live now, on the Real Deal. The Dean Ryan over there on The Real Dean Ryan on Facebook, the travel page, as well as Dean Ryan TV on YouTube and Rumble, the Real Deal Media channel, which is just a frozen channel. I don't know if you heard that. That was I'm on an incredible where the studio is here for Studio B, and I should mention this too. I don't say it enough. We want to get World at War back for all of you that deserve the quality type of shows. If that is the case, this is what we're doing for it right now before we get started, and I'm punishing myself, but we want to get World at War back. We have to get through the tech snafus. There it is right there. So, just go to givesendgo.com/world at war. That's givesendgo.com/world at war. And we'll say a little prayer for you. There you have that. Okay, let's get started now. Here's what's happening around the world, but particularly in Mexico with our colleagues down there. So this is coming out of Natural News as being trapped in chaos. Headlines, this title. Well, that's right. Trapped in chaos as now the cartel war and the war zone that is now followed in the engineered crises has now drawn Americans into the crossfire, as well as the expats over there from up north. That's right. As many people have saw, an incredible special we did last night with Late Night Update and Jim Fetzer. Well, a deliberate descent into anarchy is definitely one way to describe what has now taken place, as this article, it comes from the man himself, Mike Adams. Well, the sun-drenched beaches over there in Mexico's Pacific coast, which is one of the most remarkable, beautiful places I've ever seen and have ever stepped foot in. Well, once the symbols of the carefree escape have been transformed overnight into urban combat warfare. Yeah, hard to watch. They had grenade launchers. They were blowing up Costco. We all saw that. Well, as of last night, the popular tourist destination of Puerto Vallarta are all now under lockdown. Yes, the highways have been blocked, vehicles torched, and panic has now ensued as visitors ordered to now shelter in place. Well, the U.S. State Department has now officially issued urgent warnings for Americans to take cover. Yes, cover what? Well, that's a good question. Well, this is not a spontaneous outbreak. If you are keeping track of gang violence, this has been something that has been building and building and building. How many warnings have you heard every spring break from the State Department for kids, for college people to not go to Mexico anymore for their spring break? Time and time again. Well, it's a direct, predictable retaliation to the killings of Mr. El Mencho, Senor, the head of that cartel faction, the leader of the hyper-violent Jalisco New Generation cartel. Now, in a military raid that just took place yesterday and really in the past 72 hours. Well, that's absolutely correct. The chaos is a precise, overwhelming, and strategic retaliation that we saw yesterday from the cartel for the thousands of Americans, tourists now who are trapped in the resort walls, on hotel balconies, rooftops. I've seen it. It is a danger at its greatest faction now. The vacation paradise has now become a prison. Can't go in, can't go out. And yet last night I reported to you that the main highways, because there's only like one highway going in, just like Las Vegas, you only have the Interstate 15 that's going into the city and going out. Well, same applies here. The cartel has not only torched cars going in and out, but they have dug massive ditches, horizontal-wise, that will prevent you from crossing unless you have a bridge of sorts. So it would take the Seabees of the Navy to probably rebuild that immediately, if that is a potential. Well, in addition to that now, the new prison, I guess we should say, is it's a manufactured war zone, as it serves a purpose far beyond the cartel vengeance. It's a potential pretext engineered by unseen hands to justify a catastrophic foreign engineered, intervention that would draw a weary American military into a Vietnam-like setting, a real quagmire, if you ask me, while triggering a hidden guerrilla war on U.S. soil. So let me digest that for a minute. And Mike is really, he's speaking my language here. And one of our members, Mr. Steph, said this yesterday, and I didn't pay attention to it as much as I should have, but I did bring it up last night, and I said, isn't this just the perfect storm for a very trigger-happy, eager head of the Department of War now, Mr. Hegeseth? Isn't this the perfect storm and the perfect situation to get the United States military into Mexico? And I often wonder that myself. But the timing, to me, is so irresponsible, and it's putting so many lives at risk. Continuing. Well, yes, I think Mike's absolutely right now, as the targeted decapitation now of the leadership has now been ignited in a firestorm overnight. That just happened. Cartel factions have now responded with textbook asymmetric warfare, blocking major highways, as I expressed earlier, torching vehicles now, and also paralyzing critical infrastructure. And I'm telling you, they're going to go, everything that is done abroad, overseas, in war that we see in Gaza, in Iraq, it's always brought back home and applied to the citizens, whether it's the way you're handled by your local police, who are trained by the IDF, or whether the way it's the military and they're responding to urban warfare. It's coming back home, and it's going to be justified in this case. Now, the firsthand accounts from many people on the ground have described scenes of pure panic with civilians caught in the crossfire during the violent blockades, as we all saw. The once bustling tourist hubs now resemble nothing more than occupied territory, something we haven't seen since the Gaza War, or whatever that was. Now, this is a calculated display of power meant to send an unmistakable message to both the Mexican state and any foreign powers who are watching and want to participate. The cartels are demonstrating that they have shut down the economy and sow terror at its will, that is, for the American families who sent their loved ones there for vacation or spending it there with them. They're desperate to scramble to safety, in a terrifying lesson of geographical responsibilities when instability is now taking place. Now, their plight creates powerful and very emotive images that will remain in their heads and certainly mine forever. Innocent U.S. citizens held hostage by foreign criminal syndicates as a narrative perfectly tailored for television news and political justification. And isn't that the case? So you can read the rest of this incredible, wonderful, powerful article by Mike over there at naturalnews.com. It's just a riveting take on it. And it really echoes a lot of the sentiment that I've been thinking and saying over the course of time now. But that's just it. But the question remains, how are we going to fight a two-front war? Well, officially a two-front war. One in Mexico, and how are we going to fight Israel, our best buddies, war with Iran, and be successful at both and not have any casualties from our U.S. military personnel? That's the question. I'm not sure there's a justified answer. So that's how we see that one. And here's some other things now that are pressing in regards to everything Mexico. It's just now this is what the president of this is incredible. You're going to see President Schoenbein, the Mexican president, that is. I'm going to try to translate it for you, telling everybody we shouldn't go to war with cartels because it violates their constitutional rights. Literally says this. It's unbelievable. And it lays and gives more credence to the fact that a lot of people have said that she's owned and controlled by the cartels themselves. Well, I'm not too familiar with Mexican politics, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist or even a bird brain to understand this one. Here is President of Mexico, Miss Schoenbein, speaking, and I'll try to translate it as we go.
Regresar a la guerra contra el narco no es opción. No
The
es
narco
opción.
is not an option. Going to war with
Primero,
them. It's not an
porque
option
está
at all,
fuera
I
del
say.
marco de la ley.
First,
Todos
because
estos
it
de la
is
derecha que
outside
se
the
llenan la
framework of
boca
law.
de la
All of these
o
of the
las
right
palabras
wing that
Estado
will
de
fill the
Derecho
mouths of the words
y
rule of law, I say.
defienden
Do you know who
la
I am?
guerra contra el narco.
And
La
defend
guerra
the
contra
war
el narco
against the
está fuera de la
narcos.
ley porque, como
The
lo
war against
dije
the
o lo he
narco is
dicho
outside
en
the
varias
law
ocasiones,
because, as I said
es
before,
permiso para
on several
matar
occasions, it is permission
sin
we
ningún
must need
juicio.
to kill without any trial.
Y eso
We
en
can't do
México
that.
nadie o muy
And
poquitos
that
están de
in
acuerdo.
Mexico, nobody, I said, or
Está
very
fuera del
few
marco
are
de la ley.
in
Y
agreement.
segundo, no
It is
sirvió de
outside
nada
of the
más que
framework
para
of law,
aumentar
and
los
secondly, it did
homicidios en
not serve
México
any purpose
y el
other
nivel de
than to
violencia.
increase homicides in Mexico and the level of
Entonces,
violence.
estos llamados autoritarios, porque son autoritarios, es ir hacia el fascismo.
Authoritarians, she's worried about becoming an authoritarian. So there you have it. This is no backing. The cartels' rights to a trial. Yeah, she's more worried about the rights to trial. Well, in the world of warfare, you can label them, at least from the U.S. statutes of urban warfare here domestically, and from how it was conducted in the Civil War by Lincoln, is he designated the South as enemy combatants, domestic terrorists. And that's all that needs to be done, just from a very constitutional legal standpoint, and a very shoestring measurement at that. So that's the battles that Mexicans have to face. You see, and when you go travel through Mexico, the original Mexicans before the Spaniard takeover, because if you look at people who've always ran Mexico, they're always the tall Spaniard, gringo-esque looking, verde eye-colored kind of people. Were the original Mexicans, the very darker, complex, shorter types. So the poor, Mexico, because Mexico City has one of the highest millionaires per capita, but there's no middle class. It's like extremely rich and extremely poor. They push the poor in here to the United States, and always have. They've always allowed free passage because it prevents their poor from galvanizing, unionizing in Mexico, and truly having a real revolution in that country that would force the rights for their workers and force a middle class. And the United States takes advantage of that, the corporations, because it busts up all the unions across the United States. Therefore, the corporations can get away with slave wages, things we see in China. And also, ultimately, and there's a lot, but just due to time, ultimately, like Dick Durbin says, the Democratic politicians want to use the migrants eventually to flood the United States military and offer them citizenship as long as they're firing upon the American people. Do you see how that works? Whew. So yeah, there's Ms. Scheinbaum for you. Now, in addition to that, as we learn more about this, I can also share with you that there's now, what about our friends? What are they doing? What are they being told? And I have some intel for you, updated stuff. Well, they're being told to shelter in place, as you know. And I'm not sure that's good enough for a lot of people. But this is what's happening now, as the shelter-in-place rule has been issued across Mexico for all tourists involved especially the tourist zones, Cancun, you name it out there, following the killing of El Mencho. Well, here's what we know now. The killing of the top cartel triggered the violent reprise across Mexico. Yes, it did. Well, the U.S. Embassy has issued urgent shelter-in-place in other popular tourist areas in the country of Mexico. Cartel members blocked roads, as you saw, caused the major disruptions to travel and business across the country, not just Puerto Vallarta. Now, tourists were confined to hotels, as they are there still, and the event has renewed calls for U.S. military action against the cartels. Now, here's what I can share with you now, that it appears to be that some of the grocery stores have reopened for the time being. When I asked like, where is Dan Dix and some of the people that we know? Where are they? What hotel are they staying at? That information they didn't want to give over the comms because of interception and the potential chance that the cartel could go there and just annihilate everybody for giving out information. That's how high the stakes are. So I said, okay, don't tell me. Also, they're in secrecy of sorts. They're opening parts of the airport to get people out immediately. I can report now the son of David Icke, who was speaking at Anarchapulco, the event I was at 4 years ago, he has now safely made it onto an airplane and left the country of Mexico, headed back to the UK. I would imagine some other people went with him, or I'm guessing since, his father, they might have some money, so they might have left on a private plane. I can't imagine commercial planes leaving right now at this moment. So I think that's what the case is. I haven't confirmed that, but that's how high the stakes are. Also, as of last night, and I have to confirm again today, but as of last night and early this morning, there was a massive power outage of no internet whatsoever throughout Puerto Vallarta and out regions around that in Mexico. So it appears to be that, yes, of course, the cartels are blowing out the comms, the communications of the internet and so forth. So that's the updated news I have right now. It could be calming down, but it could be coming in waves. And then finally, I was told that the Mexican military has confiscated the guns of the dead cartel people, and they said over 80% of the weapons found and confiscated by the Mexican military from the cartels, they all come from the United States. How do you like that? So that goes, my theory of China being, any China involvement is a null and void. All of these weapons are coming from the United States, which tells you one thing, that the CIA and particularly the Crossfire Hurricane operation conducted by Barack Obama and at the time, Eric Holder, the former Attorney General, this is the product, this is the consequence of that operation they were doing back during the Barack Obama presidency. They gave the cartels all these weapons that are now killing us. Unbelievable. So that's how that one is. But a little bit more on the Mexican military part. I mean, can Mexico not do this on their own? But they probably could. But it appears to be there's a blockage on the road that has nothing to do with the cartels, but everything to do with President Sheinbaum. Well, now as the cartel Jalisco, as they say it, Jalisco, as it's now being diminished. Well, that's right. The Mexican military has officially, quote, decapitated the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, triggering a nationwide wave of narco terror like we've never seen in quite some time. That's right. In a dramatic display of power, the Mexican military has now sent shockwaves across North America. Well, the Mexican armed forces have now officially not just killed El Mencho, but many of his cohorts in the process. Now, the operation, which culminated in a fierce firefight over there with the cartels in the mountainous stranglehold of the Telpapa, Jalisco area, very cold mountains, huge mountains in Mexico. Well, they're saying that this long war has really decimated a lot of the cartel, and what we saw could have been a reaction, but maybe a one and done. Well, we hope. However, the raid triggered, as you saw, the immediate widespread of terror all over the retaliation of the entire area. As now the security analysis warned that his death and what took place yesterday could potentially spark new brutal internal wars, not just in Mexico, but right here in the United States. Now, let's, if we tackle that for a minute, this now makes sense when the borders were wide open and they were bringing in military-age men into the United States. This could be for that very moment, because now they can call make a call to arms and we could be having the same kind of gun battles and fights that we saw in Mexico right here in the United States, and even Canada as well, for that fact. So that is something to take into note. So there you have what's happening in Mexico. Well, to bring back the stateside for a moment, well, this is we have now 6 states have now declared a national emergency. 6 states due to what they're now calling weird, bizarre blizzards. Yes, it's still cold around the country in many states. As but I don't think the groundhog stayed out too long. He went back in right away for a reason. Well, let me tell you about this now. As historic blizzards now are paralyzing 6 states across the United States of America, canceling thousands of flights once again. Interesting. Which, by the way, everything that we're seeing in Mexico now kind of gives me some understanding of why Texas had an air blockade. What was it, about a week ago? Because they were moving and maneuvering troops. Just forgot to mention that the other night. But let me tell you about this. As now the blizzard of all, the winter vortex, as we used to know it, as the historic blizzard now reshapes, and paralyzes the Northeast. States have now called state of emergencies and immediate travel bans. Immediately. Well, that's what that means. Well, here, get this now. More than 14,000 flights in the United States have now been canceled as major airports and transit systems shut down. That's right. Fierce winds, heavy snow have caused massive power outages, and also hundreds of thousands of local, your phone's not working, your TV, the cable. We even saw, what was it, about a week ago, like 20 different companies, Verizon, AT&T, YouTube had a major outage last week. And this is becoming the new thing. And I'm not sure it's due to just a little brisk cold weather, is it? Well, now the storm that undergoes the bombasticness of it all, well, it's now creating impossible travel conditions and severe blizzards. The event has now marked a severe test of regional infrastructure, leading to a slow recovery. Yeah, I don't know how LA is going to be pulling off the Olympics in 2 years when they had a major outage just yesterday once again. Well, the scope of the disruption, what kind of states are we talking about? We're talking about New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and yes, Massachusetts itself, all issued orders to mobilize resources immediately. For instance, New York's new mayor and the son of Jeffrey Epstein, Mr. Zoran Madani, ordered streets closed to non-essential traffics from 9 p.m. So now they're doing soft lockdowns now. Isn't that interesting? Yes, ordered a massive streets to close traffic from 9 p.m. onward. Now Sunday to noon, Monday, and shattered all school buildings with this blizzard storm, that is. Now, Connecticut Governor Mr. Ned Lamont, banned commercial vehicles from the highways. While Massachusetts Governor Murray Healy activated over 200 National Guard members and restricted non-essential travel. This is happening right now. Seems to be in the Northeast and probably spilling over to Canada. Well, yeah, this is a very disruptive chaos, as you can imagine. 14,000 flights now are canceled from LaGuardia to all the way to Newark. And that's going to take a major hit on the economy once again. So regional darkness, I don't know what to say about that other than, isn't this what Bill Gates wanted? Isn't this what Bill Gates was seeking? I think so. Okay, let's make a little switch here as we get into the internationals now. It's Monday, it's Tuesday, and certainly not happy days, as we were told over the weekend that there's going to be impending war with Iran, and it's just a shot away. So we're going to be talking about that here as before we hit the break. But here's what's happening in the meanwhile. We have the negotiators over there in Iran that will not relinquish their missile program. They said, we'll cut down the uranium, we'll do what you want, But to completely disarm this country, a sovereign nation, that we cannot do. Well, as you know, Netanyahu, who is so up to par, he is BB on the spot with precision, with knowing just exactly the amount of time Iran is away from obtaining a nuclear bomb. When asked about his nuclear bomb, he said, "Don't ask me that again, I'll kill you." That's what I heard from a friend. But check this out, as Mr. J.J. Sullivan is really trying to warn the world, because he wants to save the world. And if he can't save it, he'll destroy it himself. That's the kind of ultimatums he plays by. He's a hard player. Here he is talking about it all, and I'll try to transcribe with my Hebrew language. I know a lot of languages. Agreeing. But we are prepared for any scenario I have conveyed to the world and the Ayatollah regime, that if they want to play ball, I'll break them. Gravest mistake in history. Don't they know who I am? And attack the state of Israel? I don't think so. We'll respond with force that cannot even be imagined. Yeah. I don't know about you. Doesn't it feel like he wants them to attack the state of Israel so he can respond with great force? Meaning he can tell Trump to jump, and Trump will say, "How high? How high do you want me to jump?" Just amazing. So, so they're just weeks away now. This is interesting. This almost sounds like an echo. Or is it? But we were told by Trump and little Marco and the squad behind Trump from last year that they obliterated Iran's entire nuclear program. Who recalls this?
Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Yeah. What happened to that claim? In fact, now that I'm in the what happened to that claim kind of mode, well, where have we heard this before? Well, look at this. We've heard it many times before over the years. I mean, I do have a memory. I know you do as well.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year. It could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb.
Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade.
Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
There you have it. 2 weeks away since 1995, right on time, same channel. Yeah, that's called consistency. You can't find that in war criminals anymore. They don't have that tone, you know. Well, let me tell you about this as we stay on track with this one. A lot of things seems to be in motion. 80% of Americans don't want this. Everyone around the world knows who the aggressors are, and that puts a target on us here in America, and that's something we definitely don't want. But here's what's happening thus far. There's now talk that Trump is talking very, very morbidly, I guess you could say, as that his days are numbered. They could take him out. I mean, that's not the talk, and that's not the kind of Donald Trump we know. That's the kind of Donald Trump that Netanyahu's created, or whoever seems to be playing Trump at this time. Well, Trump is now claiming that there are people who are trying to assassinate him because he is consequential. In fact, there might be credence to that. Just as the entire debacle in Mexico was going down, well, security shot and killed a man over there in Mar-a-Lago. You might have heard that was slipping underneath the mat over there in the news. Yeah, we don't know much about it, do we? Very interesting. Well, the president expressed the concern about his life multiple times during an event honoring families. Well, assassination attempt survivor, they say, Donald Trump has now suggested that shooters have targeted him because he is, quote, very consequential. And he's a leader while expressing concern for his life multiple times during his recent speech as of earlier today during supper. Well, Trump made these bold remarks during the speech alongside the parents of victims of crimes committed by undocumented immigrants. Yeah, undocumented immigrants. How about the well-documented immigrants that commit crimes and then fly to Tel Aviv? I want to be at that dinner, don't you? Well, here's another one. He's saying that the day is meant to honor U.S. families and citizens killed by the undocumented migrants, but I could be one of those crime statistics of the victims. Well, here's something he said. Here's a quote. You read about all these crazy shooters, but they only go after consequential presidents, they say. They don't go after non-consequential presidents, you know? He said, if you take a look at Abraham Lincoln, some big ones over there, John Kennedy in certain ways was very consequential. He represented something very important. So I was told the other day that I was going to be consequential and maybe I'm in grave danger. So this is, I don't know who he's talking to, and because he's becoming less and less consequential. The more we get, the greater and deeper we get into the Middle East once again. Well, here's a little preview of that.
I don't know how long I'll be around. Got a lot of people gunning for me, don't I? Huh? But I will not forget them. I'm never going to forget them.
Astounding, isn't it? Oh, I don't know what to. I'm lost for words with what has happened and what we're supposed to be doing and how far along we could have been by now. We have a break coming up, but I want to get into just a bit more of what's happening in Iran. We might have a few things, but also get to the incredible, effective audience in the live chats who know things at this point. Because we're going to talk about the major operations that are about to happen in Iran. Why? We have the State of the Union tomorrow night. What are we to expect from that? And how about my thesis of the only strategic way I think Trump can see himself out of this, because I think there's so much, I think a lot of his brand is tarnished is, well, after the break, I'll tell you, if in case you forgot. So anyways, stand by right there. You're watching Late Night Update with Dean Ryan here at Real Deal Media's Hallways. We'll be back after this quick message. Remember, like, going into the 90s? Like, there's some movies that I would recommend you leave in the past. The movies with cops. So you had one cop who was playing by the rules, ready for retirement. The other one who was rogue. Took the badge. Maverick. He's a maverick. He don't play by the rules. He's dangerous. You know? He hangs on to 18-wheelers going, 90 miles per hour by the side and takes a fleet of army down, a whole fleet. Just talking about it, I get blurry. That's how bad it gets. No, there's no rules. Once you take the badge off, anything goes. It's full on, too, when the good cop who played by the rules his whole career goes,
right, I'm taking my badge off, too, for this one time.
And, you think about those films we grew up on. It's the cop movies, lawyer TV shows, the hospital shows. You would think that the only jobs in America are cops, lawyers, and some gig at the hospital.
Junction, junction, what's so function? Hooking up words and phrases and clauses. Conjunction, junction, how's that function? I got 3 favorite cars that get most of my job done. Conjunction, junction, what's their function? I got and, but, and, or, they'll take you pretty far. And, that's an additive like this and that. And then there's but, that's sort of the opposite, not this, but that. And then there's or, when you have a choice like this or that, and, but, and or gets you pretty far. It gets you pretty far. Yes. Conjunction, junction, what's your function? Hooking up 2 boxcars and making them run right.
What?
Milk and honey, bread, butter, peas and rice.
Hey, that's nice.
Dirty but happy, digging and scratching, losing your shoe and a button or two. He was conjunction, junction, what's your function? Hooking up words and phrases and clauses. Conjunction, junction, how's that function? I got 3 favorite cars that get most of my job done. Conjunction, junction, what's their function? I got and, but, and, or, they'll take you pretty far.
Conjunction, junction, what's your function? Is that wonderful? Who remembers that? Just lovely. Okay, well, tonight's show is brought to you by you out there, and we need you, the viewer. This is a viewer-supported network, as we are targeted constantly, off and on the show, off and on air. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We are targeted so much so that we're trying to bring World at War back. We have down tech at the moment, in case you haven't noticed. But if you want to take part in history, bring back the #1 late night show, World at War, you can do so by going to givesendgo.com, givesendgo.com/World at War, and bring back the night. Bring back the color of the night. That's all I have to say. And if you want to become a Real Deal Media member, well, you know the drill. Go to realdealmedia.tv and join and sign tonight. Why wait till tomorrow? Okay, let's get back to business here. Yes, let's do that. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome to Late Night Update. I'm still TheRealDeanRyan. I'm your late night conductor. Yes, who is surviving cartels that are around me, some in my head. Well, there's a few more things to get to here. We last left off on speaking about Iran. A lot of generals have assessed the risk, the dangers of going and staying in the Middle East once again. And from General McGregor to even Pentagon officials who really don't have names of importance, but have messages that are much more important than their names. And let me share a bit about what I'm talking about here. As now the Trump plan now to start a war with Iran, or I should say the Israeli plan. Let's be frank here. Well, now Trump's top generals, in fact, not even generals, the top general of the army of Trump's cabinets foresees acute risk in an attack on Iran. Duh. At best, we would last 14 weeks. 14 days, not even weeks. Because we have now, probably even less than that, because we have to get military personnel to Mexico, not to mention all the sleeper cells are going to be rising in the United States and rising to the cause to avenge El Mencho and all of their CIA handlers and Mossad handlers too. I mean, this is totally out of bounds from reality. Well, as the Trump administration now has weighed in on the potential attack, wink, wink, on Iran, while the Pentagon's top general has cautioned Donald Trump and other officials that shortfalls in critical munitions in other regions and factors of the military, well, they lack support from the allies. That's a problem. Oh, yeah, this is nothing. I mean, even in the Iraq war, there was support from like the Netherlands and all these far off, former Soviet Union countries. oh no, we are such the lone gunman in this. Nobody wants to get even within a 10-foot pole of Israel in all the Israelis' ambitions. That's why they're prepared to go it alone and just drop nukes everywhere. That's the kind of rogue nation they are. Well, this is coming from General Dan Kane. Yeah, not Dean Kane. That's the other one. General Dan Kane, who is the chairman now. He's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. This is huge. Expressed his concerns over there at the White House meeting last week with Trump and his top aides and said that he's cautioning that any major operation against Iran will face challenges because the U.S. munition stockpile has been significantly depleted by Washington's ongoing defense of, get ready for it, Israel. That's right. And support for Ukraine. So Israel 1.0, Israel 2.0, Ukraine. That's right. We've been depleted, not to mention the depleting of virtually everything in the military by the Obama years. And the guy that was after that, I don't even know what the hell those years were, but they were very weird, bizarre, and confusing. So let me just reread that again in my mind and to all of you out there. So the top general of the Joint Chiefs of Staffs, Mr. Dan Kane, General Dan Kane, warned that any involvement in this totally bullshit, totally stupid, redundant, wag the dog of a war, enslavement, if you will, for Israel that we're about to do with Iran, saying that we should have major caution because our munitions stockpile, all of our weapons, our stockpile of bombs, missiles, have been significantly depleted by Washington's ongoing defense of Israel and support for Ukraine. That's huge. Now, the Mr. Kane, General Kane's remarks at the White House meeting have been they've not been previously reported until right now. That I can share with you. Separately, in the Pentagon meetings earlier this month, General Kane has also raised concerns about the scale of any Iran campaign as a whole. He said its inherent complexity as the possibility of U.S. casualties gone up. Yeah, Trump's willing to sacrifice our Navy men and women on these boats, on these carriers over there near the Strait of Hormuz for Israel. He said the complexity and the massive U.S. casualties that could come about from such an act would be too much of a risk. The general has said that any operation would be made all the more difficult by the lack of allied support. Yeah, we have no support. Who's going to support us? What, Guam? What, the islands of Samoa? They're going to throw their sticks at these people? What a stupid war. The lack of allied support and speaking like others on the condition of anonymity, one of those, to discuss private conversations. So, I mean, he was trying to keep this on the privates. But I'm sorry, what he's saying in private is what we're all saying publicly. Now, in an even more recent statement, General Kane's office said that his role as the president's top military advisor, well, it provides a range of military options. Don't be confused, as well as secondary considerations and associated impacts and risks to civilian leaders. So a range of military options, plus, I love this, and also alternative secondary considerations. So the secondary consideration would be, please reconsider the first consideration of get the hell out of there, stay out. Let Israel go it alone, which goes into now my thesis. And thank you, General Kane. You know, I've always liked that guy. He's a name you can trust, and he just seems like an upstanding man. You know, I really love it. Here's my thesis, and then I'm going to tell you who the little backstabbers are. I think we already know, but my thesis is the only way out of this, with Trump, trying to save face and trying to spare, because if we lose if there's a lot of casualties on the U.S. side and these Navy boats get sunk, you can guarantee that there's going to be hell to pay, because these kids don't have to die for this bullshit war for a bullshit country like Israel. So I think if the rule of action or the plan of action should be, all right, bring us to the brink of war, but let's make a U-turn right before it starts and let Israel go it alone. They want to start a bar fight. Okay, let's go to the bar. When the fight starts, let's get the hell out. Let them show the world how big they are, how bold they are without us. Yeah, the IDF's the most tough military in the world. Well, then prove it. Prove it, John Sullivan, Netanyahu, he's from Poland, atheist from Poland, but he has the land rights. I'm sick of these people. But let me tell you about more people I'm sick of. Well, now they're saying there was a White House meeting just last Tuesday and somewhat recently, including Vice President over there, Mr. J.D. Vance, and the little secretary that could, little Marco, and CIA director who's constantly sleeping and just reading Mossad talking points, Mr. John Ratcliffe. And let us not forget the defense-only secretary, TV's Pete Hegseth, and the White House advisor, the stone-cold Steve Miller. Well, they're just, this is what they're saying. They're saying Kane is against us going to war with Iran. Trump said in that little meeting they had that the general would not like to see a military confrontation with Iran, but that's if it did happen. It is his option that it will be something easily won. So Trump's spitting it to his own people. And they're all echoing this in that little chamber of people there, except for J.D. Vance. Now, the people who spoke to the Post about Kane's thinking directly contradicted Trump's optimistic characterization. Oh my God! Everybody has high integrity and just applause for this general, except for Trump. It appears. Now, the scale of the Iran campaign could be very significantly depending on Trump's objectives, which are to distract, and appease Netanyahu. Taking out the missile program, requiring hitting hundreds of targets across the country, more than 3 times the size of Iraq. Oh, it's huge in Iran. It's huge. 3 times the size of Iraq. You know how many football stadiums that is? Now, they're saying that those targets could include missile launch sites, many of them mobile supply depots, air defense systems, transportation networks to move those weapons. I mean, this is such a chaotic nightmare that doesn't have to be one. And we're doing it for that subsidized welfare nation or wannabe nation called Israel. So that's it right there. I mean, you have the top brass in the military saying it. You have J.D. Vance saying it. You have Marco, who definitely wants it. I mean, little Marco Rubio is so ecstatic for war. His ears are starting to flap. And then you have Lindsey, the ladybug, Graham, who is he's almost like just sexually aroused just with the fact that we're going to go to war with Iran. Can you imagine that? God. If I'm ever around Lindsey, I'm going to swat him like a bug, because that's what he is. And, well, it's also what he has, if you know what I mean. This is astounding. What say you out there before we go to our last topic here? Because I'm getting really fed up with these people here. If we can't listen to General Dan Kane, then who can we listen to? Can anyone tell me this? What are you saying out there? What say you? Let's have a little peek. Yes, exactly right. Exact. I think you're absolutely correct. It's Iraq 2.0. It's in the name. Exactly right. Thank you. Here we have. Here's another one here. We have run to J43. What a name that is. Thank you. Is that your combination lock too? By the way, did anyone notice Google changed the 3 city-states which run the world, i.e. London, Vatican, Rome, and DC, to L, financial, V, religious, DC, military? I did not know that. Thank you. I'll have to look at that later. Thanks for sharing. And let me go to Rumble too. Yeah, it's just, there's so many. This was not supposed to be, I thought we're hitting the golden age. Did he mean that we're going to be hitting the golden age, or was he talking about the golden corral? Because that's what it feels like. We're all getting corralled into this. Here we have Rumble, and we have a lot of people who are just following us all over the place, getting a lot of new people as well, which I want to invite them to stick around with us here at Real Deal Media, as I do promise things will get better. Well, we hope. The way the world is, who knows if we're even going to be a nation state. And, somebody said to me too, that this is the best time, really, truly, honestly, for states to show their state power when it comes to the federal government here in America, and show some solidarity and strength to say no. I mean, and the irony of it all too is, if I might add, the fact that we have tax day coming up, and it's like, how can the federal government justify a soul, and even one individual in this country, to pay their share of federal taxes? Because I'll tell you, the justifications and reasons for that are really unbelievable and very just totally unjustified. Let me go here. Let me search here. We have so many people commenting all over the place. Do we have bots again? Yeah, I've been getting hit by bots as well. They're not very nice. Here we have Mr. John. Thank you, John, for coming here. Said the first targets will be the electrical power generation. They will put the lights out first, then hit fuel supplies. With this is happening, they are going to take out key command and communication sets. Are we talking about the cartel, or are we talking about U.S. regarding Iran? I think you mean U.S. Yeah. That's the statement with the U.S. military. Everything's better with the lights off. Okay, we have, I cannot see the chat on Rumble. Well, that's sad. Hopefully it will appear. So I do apologize beforehand. Here are some more things. The 3 cities have changed. A lot of things seem to be changing. Here is this one here. One more. The military industrial complex defense contractors manufacturer needs a boost to funnel. That's another thing too. I was thinking, people like Huckabee, the other part of Israel is, it is the hub for everything military industrial complex. And it's not a crazy notion to believe that people like a Huckabee or a Ted Cruz or whoever all have money invested in these defense contracting firms, which all have, Israel and all their handlers on speed dial. So of course they want war. So it just tickles me to hear people say, well, this is going to be cleaned up by the World Cup and soccer. What do they know? Spoonful, I think you know things. Trump doesn't want to mess with Iran. It's his boss, J.J. Sullivan, who is hot for it. Spoonful, thank you. I needed that. Sometimes I got to be reminded of who's the boss, like that show said. Here's another one. Exactly is exactly on the money. Mexico is extremely dangerous now, even the tourist spots like Cancun. Here's let me ask this question: is because of this, how realistic is it for expats, particularly from Canada, let's focus on them, to stay in the region further, going forward after this? Because they got to be rescued. Where are they going to go? Because I believe this is going to be a domino effect across Latin America, that they're going to be targeting gringos and foreigners. And it's not going to be polite. So therefore, what happens to the expats from Canada, Australia too, and all the rest? Do they stay? Do you think they stay? Do they go back? And if they go back, do they get punished? And I'm at a point where maybe we should all go back. Like, I'm back in California. Maybe we should all go back to where we came from and fight for the right to survive and exist, and get the cancerous individuals who are human or non-human at this point, get them out. Maybe we all need to go back home and fight for our right, for the freedom of our country here, because you can only run for so long. And look what just happened. Okay, Rumble, I do apologize. Everything's blacked out on the live chat on my end. What can you do? So thank you. Exactly. You're exactly on the money. Okay, so here's a final story here. Well, you might have heard of the alien files. You might have heard about that. Definitely something that people are looking forward to. And tomorrow is the big announcement from the State of the Union address. I think we're going to try to cover the aftermath of that. I, for one, can't wait. And I should tell you, a lot of people are not really looking forward to it. I think we might be the only ones. But just to give you an example, before I get into everything aliens, a new poll is out. And this is really, it tells a lot that majority of people now, adults in this country, when the question was bagged, are we better off as a country versus not, in previous years? And overwhelmingly, I think it's about 67% says we are not. Which goes to show that is Trump's approval ratings are, what is it, 34%? So that's worth mentioning at least one more time. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you. Okay, final deal here as we now get to the alien files just in time. Isn't it amazing how the alien files just get dragged into the mold here right when the Epstein files come out? I mean, I don't know about you, all this talk about Mexico, aliens, Iran means nothing to me until we find Savannah Guthrie's mother. I mean, why is the coverage stopped on that? We have to find that woman. So invested. Well, she's dead. Anyways, let me tell you about the alien files now. And at the rate we're going, soon, all of us humans may be the new aliens for the new species that's taking our place, whether it's the Orient or robots themselves. It doesn't make a difference. As now the UFO files, the aliens, ET phone home, we're going to be introduced to our new family members from a galaxy far, far away who are going to be very, very close very soon. That's right. It's just in time as the UFO files are upon releasement, as the secret Air Force jet spotted near Air 51 told us so just recently. Well, Donald Trump has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. Yet, this might be his last trick. Yes, well, Trump announced he has plans to declassify government files related to ETs, extraterrestrial life. Now, UFOs and even UAPs as well, framing it as a move against the deep state secrecy and institutional corruption. And he said it's all fine by him as long as there's no mention of Israel anywhere on Mars or Israeli. I mean, so that it seems to be a good deal, I think. Because there's no implications there. Now, Trump criticized a former president, the Mac Daddy, long-legged Mac Daddy himself, President Barack Obama, fake name, for joking about the aliens on a recent podcast, which, who heard? Accusing him of mishandling classified information, while Trump emphasized now that he would push for transparency altogether because of that now. Well, hours after that, Trump's announcement, a secretive, quote, Janet flight, they call it, used for Area 51 personnel. They call it Janet. Or if you fly quite frequently, it's called Jan. Well, it was tracked heading towards the Tonopah test range over there in Nevada, fueling speculation about urgent activity related to disclosure. Now, aviation journalist Mr. Jim Goodall cited insider claims of, quote, out-of-this-world technology. over there at Area 51, including exotic aircraft with capabilities beyond known human engineering. That's how exotic it is. It's a hybrid and probably more. And finally, while the Pentagon insists that there is no, quote, no evidence, they repeat, no evidence of extraterrestrial technology, they call it crazy. Whistleblowers like David Gunash allege decades-long reverse engineering programs for non-human craft hunting at imminent disclosures by 2025. Okay, well, so let me add to this now. There's something weird that happened in 1986. We know about the Challenger that allegedly blew up all these people, and it's come to light in the past couple of years, maybe the decade, that literally virtually everybody on that flight is still alive today. A lot of people ask, what are the objectives? And it's really hard to find at face value why that happened in that narrative that I just shared with you. It's a hard pill to swallow. But if you look at it in the terms of creating a big black budget for deep space, deep state space kind of programs, then it could make a lot of sense in the fact that from 1969 and probably prior, but really 1969, when Walter Cronkite coined the new decade before them at that time, the 1970s, as the lunar era. We're going into the lunar era. And then you had David Bowie's Space Oddity song come out. It was the perfect collaboration in which created the lunar era of the 1970s onward. I mean, the representation of the disco ball, which was the moon, the stylings, it looked like everybody was astronauts with rhinestones on. I mean, everything about it, the Star Wars craze and all the mentions of space. So there was a real hunger and appetite for everything in space, which that was killed and that died in 1986. Nobody liked it, NASA and everything. So everything went underground, which created things like Area 51, created things like the Majestic 12 and the budgets, the deep state budgets. And here we are now at the point where they're having to talk about this. They've been waiting to do it. You have people that talk about, I've met a gentleman that spoke about tall Nephilim-looking people in Area 51, tall whites. We've seen Trump walk around with like 8'5" people, these tall-looking creatures. Then we hear about the reptilians. Certainly, David Icke has made a namesake out of it, of what reptilians are, who they are, and it's a compelling case. And the crux of his case for the reptilian species is just a Cliff Note version of it. It's, if you look historically through the calligraphy, through the paintings, through references of world history and monarchy types, there always has been a presence of a serpent-like creature that has been featured in the branding of world monarchs throughout history. And certainly that's true. But when you look further into it, the reptilians, the Greys, there's something to be said about what took place in 1947 in Roswell, New Mexico, which I went to somewhat recently. And was disappointed to learn that there wasn't much allegiance or paying homage to Roswell, that whole trap. Just very little mention of it in that town. I guess they want to forget. But there is said to be that there is something happening now where we are trading our own fellow humans to these outer terrestrial beings for experimentations, for a trade-off. As we get their technology and we give them our own. Now that sounds crazy, but when you look at the Epstein files and you learn that, just Leonardo DiCaprio was literally having an email convo with another just creep named Woody Allen about eating, having his humanoid meals and how it's good for his weight loss for an upcoming role. it's not crazy to think that, okay, if we have people who are eating people, you know, just who, if dogs are the pets of us, who are we the pets for? You know, the food chain, who's above us? And maybe we're about to find out, because there's something strangely and just bizarre about the moon and the sun lately. We made that case. You know, we talked about two suns. We talked about this sun, to me, just looks like Bill Gates' flashlight. I've made mention of where the moon, when, you know, over there in Arizona, like somebody forgot to put the moon away. It was 7 a.m. So they had to tow the moon last minute. But what is it? What is the moon? You know, the moon landing footage, at least that we got, what we saw in 1969, it, you know, it's as real as a $3 bill. That's no secret. We know that Stanley Kubrick had a big part in that, because he was the first director in Hollywood of all time to perfect what we now know as the green screen and all of the projections that come from it, hence Dr. Strangelove. So that's exactly what it is. Now, this next piece here, you're going to hear, this is some old footage, somewhat old. You're going to hear a man reciting exactly what he saw during one of the outings of Neil Armstrong as he sat in the control room. And it's pretty compelling, as a lot of this stuff now is becoming unearthed of what exactly is the moon. A lot of people say it's a hologram. Very little people say it's what they say it is, just a legit rock in the middle of nowhere. So have a look-see at this, and we'll discuss after, as who are we about to meet? What's about to come upon us?
Around the side of the crater, okay? They were not parked on it, they were floating above it. So there were hundreds of these 9-foot reptilian guys standing with their legs.
Hundreds.
Yeah, they were all the way across the underneath their vehicles,
Okay,
standing
so
on the
9
crater.
feet, and what do they look like?
They're ugly looking, lizard, alligator type people. They got the same skin as the lizards got, okay? And terrible looking faces. But then they have the ability to shift and look like a human. All of them do, okay?
Okay, do you think Von Braun was a reptilian?
No,
You really don't?
no.
Okay.
Your president, yes.
Oh, which one? George Bush, Sr.? Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
And Bill Clinton and this guy you got
Obama.
rid of. Yeah.
Yeah,
They all were,
right.
okay? So, and they all have this ability to make themselves look like real good-looking people.
And you're saying Trump isn't one?
No, he's not,
Well,
okay?
that's a relief.
And and he knows more about this subject than people realize.
Oh,
Okay.
excellent.
But trying to get back to your earlier question, these groups of extraterrestrial who work together but are at war with other extraterrestrials, okay, have these vehicles that look like a planet,
Right.
like our moon is a vehicle. It's a command center for this arm. Easiest.
The moon is a vehicle. Did you get that? The moon is a vehicle. And I'm going to be making more of that case here as we go on here, as a lot of this footage is being unearthed. And the theme and the message of these guys, there's a lot of commonalities of guys from all walks of life that never met each other, kind of all saying the same thing, unless they're on the same hallucinogenics from the same drug dealer. There's something there. There's definitely a there. Here's a comment here from Mr. John Bastiglione. What a comment to make. Let me read it for you. He says, Mexico is dangerous. When I used to start to surf there, over there in Baja in the 1980s and 90s, it's a gamble going down there. But most people who go down there and are resort lizards who never leave the resort bar. Well, that's certainly better than lot lizards, isn't that, John? And if you don't know what that is, I can't be the one to tell you. It's quite, it's pretty far out. Yeah, you know, and you know, you speak about these unearthed, outer Earth being, I should say. There's a lot of mention to that in the Incas and all of their old historical relics. You know, I found it very peculiar. You know, I traveled through all of Central America, through Mexico, and out of all of the Latin people that you come across in each and different country, the people of Guatemala are the most unique, distinct looking people versus Honduras, versus Nicaragua, versus El Salvador, Mexico. And, you know, was that the breeding ground of their outer Earth beings initially? You got to ask yourselves. They have the more elongated necks. You know, just shooting from the hip here. Okay, so that's how that one goes. And as far as going to Mexico, to kind of close that off, yeah, I stopped doing that a long time ago because I think people are going to have to go home now. That's how I see it. So anyways, I'm going to leave it there here as we finish up the Trapped in Mexico. I'll have more updates on our loved ones, our fellow citizens who are trapped in harm's way in the horrible crossfire. I will be back tomorrow night with another late night update. I think we're going to be having Jim Fetzer join us and some other notables throughout the week. Until then, I want to say thank you for joining me here tonight on this late night. And always remember to stay tuned, stay awake. Dean Ryan signing out. Good night, everybody, and see you tomorrow. El Mañana, as they would call it, I think. Or is that French?